Hello, welcome to He's Hot, but Something's Off. Did I say that right? He's hot, but something's off. He's hot, but something's off. I say so many times that sometimes I say it wrong and I don't know it. Anyways, happy Thursday. It's Wednesday afternoon as I record this. I literally just got home from a flight. I was just in Vancouver to visit family. It was great to see my niece and nephew again. And my nephew is 10. My niece is now, I think she's 6. I think they're 4 years apart. The school just got out for them. Last week was their last week of school. So on Monday and Tuesday, my mom usually babysits for my sister. They live like really close together up in Vancouver. And my sister obviously has work. So on Monday and Tuesday, while I was there, mom was babysitting. So like I got to partake in the babysitting fun. So usually when my mom babysits, my mom doesn't go anywhere. She doesn't have a car. She might walk to get groceries or whatever like once in a while, but usually she'll have my sister, my brother-in-law, someone like buy her groceries. She's not very like mobile in that way. But when I visit mom, one of the very few things that we do is like we just go and eat because I don't make her cook and I don't think she wants to anyways. So we'll go out for like lunch and then we'll do like a dinner at some point. So there's like a couple meals. And because the Rugrats were with us, we basically took them. It wasn't taking me to, it wasn't like me and mom going to get something. It's like, oh, we're babysitting together effectively. So we're going to like take the Rugrats out to get food. They're just old enough to the point where they're in that phase of their childhood where they're asking a lot of questions. So my nephew was already doing that because, he's 10 by now. So he's been doing that for like a little bit. But my niece, she's now just old enough where she speaks like fluent English for her age. I think the last few times when I visited, her English like wasn't quite there, but her communication skills has like progressed quite a lot. So they are both like chatty catties in the back of the car, but they ask a lot of questions. So one thing they were asking me a lot about was like, oh, what was their mom, my sister, like when she was young? Like what about Uncle Simon, who's my brother? What's Uncle Simon like? And then what was I like? And one thing that I found kind of like a contrast, obviously, like we're very different generations, right? Me and my siblings, we didn't have. Like we grew up in Hong Kong, so like in Asia, so like that was very different, and we were on a much tighter ship with mom than they are with my sister or like maybe my grandma. I think my grandma's like a little more. Well, but my mom isn't as strict with them as they were with us. She's not as strict with the grandkids as like us kids. So they will ask all these random questions like, oh, like, what was it like when blah, 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 blah. And like, I couldn't even tell them straight up the truth because things are so much harsher for us than it is now for them. For example, so we went out. Well, she went out, on like Monday and Tuesday, we just went to lunch. And then afterwards, I think mom just needed to do like a little shopping. So like on Monday, there's like a Walmart nearby, and she just needed to like pick up like a couple of things. Then on Tuesday, we were like at a drugstore, like we were like a grocery store or something. They were like buying toys on both days, not anything extravagant. Like they were buying some like playing cards on Tuesday, and on Monday they bought Hot Wheels. I don't know that kids still play with Hot Wheels. But they weren't expensive. It was like $5 or $10, like Canadian dollars. It was not very like expensive, and like they had money to buy these things. And then in my head, I was thinking, back in my day, it would be rare for us to be able to buy any sort of toys. Mom would just say no. So there's this like old person-y part of my head that was like, in my day, we didn't just have like, we weren't just given allowance money when we were like 6 or 10 years old to go buy some random whatever like hockey cards or whatever Hot Wheels or toys or whatever. Like we went to school, then we had to go home, then we had to do homework, then we had to study, then we had dinner, and then we went to bed. So I don't know. I didn't want to like straight up tell them that because I don't think they cared because they're like doing their own thing. But it was good to hang out with my niece and nephew and have just like we weren't really like doing that much. The other thing is that's very different, and this is more obvious. Is the moment we got home from lunch to like my mom's place, the first thing they did. Well, they're actually pretty good because the first thing they did was they were doing like quote unquote homework, because I guess my sister had given them some books to like practice their like vocabulary and to practice math. So like with my niece, for example, she's learning just basic addition, like basic arithmetic, and she's still learning it, so she still like needs like a little help. So I was like helping her, like, and it was such a mind fuck to like do addition of numbers on paper because I haven't done that since I was like their age, since I was like 10 or 12. So to actually like do it again, I was like, how do you actually add numbers on paper like that? You go down the column. I had to actually think for a moment. It's like, wait, is this how you do it? Because I don't want to teach her like the wrong thing. But I was like, okay, yeah, this is how you like manually with pen and paper add two numbers together. Because I think kids these days, I guess all kids are still learning this in school. But as someone who, I just haven't done adding of anything. If I need to add two numbers, I'm just always reaching for my phone. It's like, oh, pull up the calculator app. That's how we add numbers now. Yeah, but I was helping her just like do basic like addition of numbers, and then my nephew had this book where he was practicing vocabulary. But they were very good. Like the moment we got back to the house after lunch, they like had automatically like, just whipped out the quote unquote homework, and they were like just doing it because they knew that once they were done doing the homework, then they would be allowed to play video games. But what instantly happens, like they would like go do all the homework. They was only doing the homework for like 15 minutes, if that. And then instantly they would grab my mom's iPad and my mom's iPhone as if it was their own. They knew the unlock code for it, which I was like, I'm not sure I want them to know mom's like pin code to her phone and iPad. But somehow they know it, and my mom was like okay with it. And then they would just be on the couch and they would just be like playing games on the iPad and the iPhone the entire time. What used to happen was at times when I was visiting, and then they would like come over sometimes, and they would just be like hanging around doing whatever. Before the iPad and the iPhone, which is like a newer thing, they never used to like have access to that. My mom didn't get the iPad until like last year, and she didn't even have any games on her phone until last year either. So what happened before is like they would play like other things, like regular toys, like non-electronic toys. They'd be like very curious about like my computer and my iPad has always had it when I was traveling, and a lot of times I would just be like working during the day, like at the dining room table. I just had my laptop out. And a lot of the times in the middle of the day, I would like go grab some food because we would go to lunch with mom at like 10-ish, like brunch time. And then we would have like an early dinner, like 6 or 6:30. So in between, it's like I kind of need like an extra meal, you know. So a lot of times I would go and get A&W, which is a Canadian fast food chain. It's a little nicer than like a McDonald's, you know, like in terms of like the quality of the food. It's not as big as McDonald's, obviously, but it's like a Canadian thing. They're known for the root beers, which I've never been into. But they have pretty good burgers. I feel like the burgers and the fries are just like a little bit above like what a McDonald's would be. I don't know what's the U.S. equivalent to something that's like a little nicer than McDonald's. I don't really do Burger King. Yeah, I just if I wanted that type of fast food, usually I would just go to McDonald's. But I don't know what's like a slightly better tasting alternative. Okay, well, comment down below. in the US, what's like if you want just that type of burgers and fries fast food, but you want it to be like a little nice, what would it be like? In and Out? Maybe. Anyways, so a lot of times I would go to A&W because like I like some of their I kind of sort of grew up eating A&W because like a Canadian thing. So like when I'm back there, I just go. So I would like go grab like burgers and fries to go, and then just bring it back to the house and I just eat it at the house. So every other time that I've done this, like because it's like fast food, it's like junk food, like fries. They would be like, "Oh, can we have like some of the fries?" But now, what I noticed this time that I went back, they're on the iPad and the iPhone. They're on the couch, like completely, like just focus on that. I leave the house. I come back. They're in the exact same position. Not like I was gone for that long, like 15 or 20 minutes. I come back with the food, and like they don't even like notice that I've got burgers and fries. Like, you can clearly smell it, but like they are gaming so hard on the iPad and on the phone. They don't even notice that I've got food in the house, and they don't even ask for any of the fries. I told my sister like, do not get them a phone until they're like 18, and when it's 18, they can get their own. So yeah, it's crazy. Like I don't hang around any like school age like younger kids except for like my niece and nephew once in a while. Like none of my friends have kids. Like I know like a couple of people that have like recently become parents, so they have like, like younger kids. But like I'm not like close friends with them to the point where like I would visit or hang out with them. They're more like acquaintances, if you will. So like I don't really know how kids are like these days. I guess sometimes when I go to the airport and whatever, I'll see like kids on an iPad. Like when you're traveling though, and you have to like kill like an hour at the airport because your flight's delayed, or they always tell you to get there 2 hours before. Like, okay, yeah, that's not like your kid's gonna be hopping on a plane like every week. So it's like, I think it's fine to like throw an iPad at a kid to like keep them occupied or distracted or whatever when you're like traveling, because you're not traveling with your kid like that every single week. It's like once in a while, it's like, oh, it's Thanksgiving or it's the holidays or summer vacation or visiting grandma, like whatever it is. Yeah, like my niece and nephew, because my mom is gonna be babysitting them throughout the summer break, they're just gonna be like on the iPad and the iPhone for like hours every day that they are being babysat. I don't know if I don't think, I'm not saying I want kids, just FYI, but if I were in a position to like, if I was a parent, I don't think I would let them have, I think they could have access to an iPad. They wouldn't have like their own iPad. There'd be like a family iPad or something. But like it would be very limited how much time they can spend on it, because I don't think I want my kid to just be like, oh, it's summer break and okay, you're just gonna spend like 4 hours on the couch playing video games. It's like, I don't know. I don't think I like that. But I'm also of a very different generation, because when I grew up, we had, like, there were no cell phones, obviously. There were no cell phones, and there was a Game Boy, like the original Game Boy, that did exist. Like the OG original first gen Game Boy, that hat came out. I was never a video game person. My brother kind of was, and I think he wanted a Game Boy, but my mom would never allow it. But my mom was the kind of person, if we were to go out somewhere, it's a lot of the times is for like some sort of like dinner with like a family dinner, or like dinner with like friends, or like, it is some sort of outing where like everyone is like that. A lot of times it involves some sort of dinner. And we were always expected that we had to behave at dinner. So we couldn't ever like run around or like climb on anything. We had to be like, we had our, we each had our chair. We had to be like seated properly at our own chair. We weren't allowed to like have toys with us. We weren't allowed to like, be climbing on things. We wouldn't allowed to be like leave. We wouldn't be able to like leave the table. If we like had a temper tantrum or anything, or was like crying or whatever, like mom would like absolutely not have that. There were times when like maybe one of us kids had like a temper tantrum. Sometimes kids get like that when younger kids. Like it's kind of normal. But like we're at like some sort of dinner type thing, and we just basically my mom was so strict with us. We basically had to just like sit there, like hold our tears in, not make any noise, and just like sit there, like sobbing, but like we couldn't make a scene. So mom was like tiger mom. Mom was like that level of like, if we're out at dinner, you cannot make a scene. Like end of story. She would come down hard on that. There was like just no negotiation. So that's why when I see, sometimes when I'm at a restaurant now and I see like, I mean, it's rare we go to a restaurant where there are other kids. To be really honest, we don't tend to go to places like that. But once in a while, if there's like some other table and then like there's kids, and if I ever see kids running around a restaurant, that triggers me. That triggers me because, first of all, it's extremely dangerous because you have a kid that's like, like 2 foot nothing, running around, darting around, random direction changes, like under tables and across and all over. And then you have people, the wait staff, that are like bringing hot, scalding food, soup, pasta, whatever, a barbecue something. And it might be on like a tray that where like and then you've got these kids running around. I think it's horrible parenting to let your kids run around in a restaurant like that. Because what if your kid runs into one of this waitstaff, the waitstaff like drops all the food onto your kid? It's like the worst case situation for everyone. And it's like the parents' fault. Like if you're letting your kids run around in a restaurant like that and they run into one of the waitstaff and the waitstaff drops all their food, it's like you need to contain your children. Like you can't, that's not a safe environment for little kids to be running around in. So whenever I see that at a restaurant, I'm thinking like, look, I'm not a parent. I know parenting is very hard. I can't even imagine because I've not done it. But I feel like you just can't have that at a restaurant. Is that like too much common sense? But it's not like most of the time that I see that though. It's not all the time that whenever I go to a restaurant there are kids, the kids are always running around. It's just like once in a while I notice that. I'm thinking like, it's really not wise for you to allow your kids to like run around a restaurant like that. Like that always like triggers me like a little bit. And it also brings up memories of like, well, in my day, my mom would never allow us to do that in public. So yeah, but it's that was so when my niece and nephew asked us like, oh, like what were you like when you were young and with grandma? What about Uncle Simon? Or what about mom? I was like, we had it very different, and you kids have it easy. It's like, I can't believe you kids are buying toys every day on like a Monday and a Tuesday. It's not even like a special day out. Like, why do you need to buy toys all the time? Maybe some of it is just like jealousy. It's like, I never had this life, and like you kids do now. They're not even my kids. They're just like my niece and nephew. But I do enjoy being like the superior uncle to them, I think, in some ways. So my brother spends more time with them, I guess, in aggregate. My brother works a lot, but like he also lives in Vancouver. So he will like see them or hang out with them like once in a while. And my brother likes to like prank them or like just play like little jokes on them or like tell them things that are not true. Like, so my brother's like a little bit like that. I think my brother's also like, I think maybe like harsher with them sometimes on like certain things. So I take advantage of that. And I position myself as like the much cooler uncle. The uncle that's not gonna like pull tricks and pranks and stuff on you and like, like make little jokes and make fun of you and things like that. But my brother, I think, does like a little bit of that. And like, he's not as nice to them. I'm like the cool uncle. I'm like the nice uncle. And I think it's working. Just from like talking to them, and they tell me little things about Uncle Simon. So yeah, but it was fun to like just get away for a little bit, to see them, to see families, see my niece and nephew. The next time I go back, I mean, it just depends on. Go back like 3 or 4 times a year. Like every 3 or 4 months I go back. Just depends, and things are like a little busy right now. But yeah, the summertime. I thought, oh, maybe the airfare would be really, really expensive, but it's actually not. It wasn't that bad. You know what? The other thing that I noticed was usually June, like June, July, August, when school is out, airfare just tends to be like a little more expensive. And I've flown back to Vancouver from California like dozens of times over the course of like over a decade, because like, ever since I moved down to California from home for work out of college, like every single year I fly back like 3 or 4 times every single year, and I've done so like without fail for like over a decade now. So I kind of have a hang of like very roughly, like what it costs at like different times of the year to fly back. And I usually don't fly back like between the school break, like when school gets out, because I know like generally school's out, summer vacation time, people travel more, and there are more kids travel and all that kind of stuff, families. So I thought it's gonna be a little expensive. Like, it's actually not that expensive. But the other thing that shocked me even more is I got an upgrade to first class, domestic first class, by the way, which is like not real first class. It's not like the fancy Emirates A380 first class. But I got upgraded on the flight home to Vancouver on Sunday. I was like, this is weird. Because I used to be top tier status with United, and I always flew United, and I never got the complimentary, like the free upgrade. Never. Like almost like all these like many dozens of times that I've flown back, like once in a blue moon, even though I was like top tier United for so many years. I don't travel as much anymore. Funds are being redirected from parties and vacations a bit more towards the businesses that I'm trying to start up and work on every single day. So I'm no longer that top tier with United. I'm not 1K anymore for any of those that are familiar with the United status, the premier status levels. I'm just gold, and I'm not even gonna make gold next year. I'm just gonna have nothing next year. I'm being a free agent basically. But with just like the regular middle class gold status, somehow I was first on the upgrade. Well, not technically first on upgrades, but I got the last first class seat that was available. Like the 1K people, they cleared before the upgrade list was even published. So I was like, this is weird. Like, how could I be like a mid-tier nobody, relatively, and have gotten an upgrade? And even on the way back earlier today, if there happened like a open first class seat again, just like on the flight up earlier, like I would have gotten that, because I was like first in line to like get an upgrade if something had opened up. So I was like, this is weird. This has never happened before. So I guess that's probably maybe a sign of like the drop in US travel that I keep reading about on the news. And like a lot of airlines have shown numbers that, WestJet, for example, which is like the second biggest airline in Canada, they said something like, US Canadian flights are down something like 15 to 20%, and they've actually reduced the number of flights on those itineraries and redirect them to other destinations, because they saw a bit of an uptake to Europe and to Mexico, to like the Caribbean, for example. So yeah, I think this is my first time. This is the first time where I've flown back to Canada since all this like tariff, whatever hoopla. And yeah, I guess that's, the first tangible first-hand experience I have of the reduced traffic between the US and Canada, because like no way in hell would I have gotten a free upgrade in years past. So I mean, I'm sure they've like reduced flights and things like that. Oh, even on the way back earlier today, I had an exit row seat, and those are usually extra cost, but because as a gold member you can pick them in advance, so I was able to pick it for free. But then the two seats next to me were empty, and then I looked across the aisle. There's another person that is also on an exit row on the other side of the plane, and the two seats beside him were also free. That's not super rare, but usually most of the time there would be like, you might have an empty middle seat, but it's not super, super common on the like LA, on like the California to Vancouver flights, to have like that whole row be like kind of empty. So yeah, I guess that's reduced traffic a little bit. All right, that would do it for this week's episode of HHBSO. As a reminder, the video version of this podcast is on my YouTube channel, Just Joey T. And I have a Patreon where you will get a extra uncut version of the podcast every single week. And yeah, it's got fun stuff over there. So yeah, when I was flying up to Vancouver, I did a little selfie that I post up on Patreon, and there are travel vlogs that go up for my Patreon subscribers as well. There's also the live streams that happen every month for my top tier opus. Actually, I have it on my to-do list to run a discount, run like a promo for my Patreon. Actually, I just like haven't gone around to doing it. I'll say this: when I run a promo, this is my first promo. If and when I run my promo to give a discount on Patreon, I will make it so that listeners of this podcast will be the first ones to know. So I'll announce it on like a episode of the podcast when I run a promo, so that you all would be like the first to know. And yeah, come over on the Patreon. It's a lot of fun. But until next time, bye y'all.